first down. He pulls it. It looked like he was handing it off, and Lamar Jackson pulled it and took off. Are you kidding me with this guy? Slows up for another touchdown. Lamar Jackson, you are ridiculous.
There are college quarterbacks who play within the system, and then there's the system-breaking ones, the ones who make the entire stadium hold its breath.
Look at this. He's still on his feet and heaves it deep. Oh my gosh!
Michael Vick had that power, so did Cam Newton.
Gets it to him and then takes it himself. Broke a tackle, puts his hand on the grass and down the sideline. Newton got there.
But what if I told you there was another, a player who didn't just play quarterback, he redefined it.
On a hurdle by Jackson! Highlight reel touchdown! Lamar Jackson does it again!
Lamar Jackson didn't walk into college football, he tore into it. And for 3 straight seasons, he lit it on fire.
Jackson keeps it on the zone read. He's got a blocker or two, and he's got open field. Lamar Jackson to the 25. A juke move there. Another lead in. And he's in the end zone for the second time. A scintillating 61-yard run for the freshman Lamar Jackson.
He won the Heisman as a sophomore. He put up video game stats nobody had ever seen. And every single Saturday, he made the impossible look easy. So if Lamar Jackson was that good, why wasn't Louisville better? Oh, and while we're talking Vick and Jackson, who does Enter Sandman better? Virginia Tech? Or Louisville? Drop your pick in the comments. Lamar Jackson's story doesn't start with 5 stars next to his name. It starts in South Florida, Boynton Beach, where he was this raw, unpredictable blur on a football field. Scouts couldn't agree on what he even was. A QB? A wide receiver? Maybe a defensive back? He had the speed, he had the arm, but the mechanics weren't polished. He wasn't refined. And because of that, a lot of programs didn't want to touch him. Florida passed. Auburn wasn't sold. Nebraska said he could switch positions. Only one major school gave him a straight answer: Louisville. They told him, "You'll play quarterback, no questions asked." And for Lamar, that was all he needed. By the end of his freshman year, he had already made believers. He torched Texas A&M in the bowl game, put up over 450 total yards, ran for over 200. And you could feel it, he was just getting started. But what came next wasn't just improvement, it was a full-blown takeover. And yet, despite all the highlights, all the stats, all the chaos he caused, Lamar Jackson's Louisville teams never made a serious push. Not for the playoff, not even for a conference title. So again, we ask, if Lamar Jackson was that good, why wasn't Louisville great? Lamar Jackson wasn't supposed to start right away. Louisville opened the 2015 season against Auburn in the Georgia Dome. He threw a pick on his very first snap. But by the third quarter, he had settled in.
Look who's loose!
Capping a drive with a 10-yard rushing touchdown, his first in college. The game was a loss, but Louisville had found their quarterback. His passing wasn't polished. He completed just 9 of 20 throws, but every time he escaped the pocket, it looked like something wild might happen. That season was uneven. He split time early with Kyle Bolin and Reggie Bonifant. Against Houston in Week 2, he threw 2 interceptions, including one late in the third in a tight ball game. In Week 3, he was benched. Then came the Samford game. Against Samford, he looked more confident, threw for a touchdown, ran for 2 more, and broke 100 rushing yards. It was clear he was starting to settle in. Week 6 against NC State, Louisville got a gritty win. Jackson didn't put up big numbers but managed the offense well. Then came Boston College, one of the best defenses in the country that year, and Louisville ground out a 17-14 win. Jackson struggled passing but scored the game-winning rushing touchdown. The flashes were real, but the big moment came in the postseason. In the Music City Bowl against Texas A&M, Lamar exploded. He accounted for 453 total yards and 4 touchdowns. He ran for 226 yards, including 126 in the first quarter alone, breaking a bowl record. There was a sequence in the first half where he juked 4 defenders in space, broke a tackle, and walked into the end zone. By the second quarter, Texas A&M's defense looked completely lost.
He's got open field. Lamar Jackson to the 25. A juke move there. Another lead in. And he's in the end zone for the second time.
That was the moment it all clicked. This wasn't just a raw athlete anymore. This was a quarterback who could take over games. The mechanics still weren't clean. His throwing motion was wide. His footwork was chaotic. But it didn't matter, because the defense couldn't stop him, and he knew it. He finished the year with 1,840 passing yards, 960 rushing yards, and 23 total touchdowns. Not bad for a true freshman who didn't win the starting job until mid-season. The 2015 Louisville Cardinals went 8-5, but the second half of the season told a different story. Lamar was coming, and by the end of the bowl game, nobody wanted to be on the other side of it. 2016 wasn't just Lamar Jackson's breakout, it was a takeover. He opened the season with 8 touchdowns against Charlotte, 6 through the air, 2 on the ground, all in under 3 quarters. Charlotte's defense didn't stand a chance, but it wasn't just bad competition. It was the speed, the tempo, the way Louisville's offense felt like it was running downhill. Next week at Syracuse, he leveled up again. In the first quarter alone, he had a hurdle, a 72-yard bomb, and 2 rushing touchdowns.
Jackson keeps it again, trying to stretch to the edge. What a hurdle by Jackson! Highlight reel touchdown!
He finished the game with 610 total yards and 5 touchdowns. That hurdle became the image of his Heisman campaign. He jumped straight over a defender like it was Madden. Then came Florida State, and they were ranked number 2. They had NFL talent at every level. Derwin James, Tarvarus McFadden, Josh Sweat. Didn't matter. Lamar shredded them. Louisville put up 63 points, the most ever scored on Florida State in regulation. Jackson ran for 146, threw for 216, and totaled 5 touchdowns. He made future pros look like slow-motion extras. That win launched Louisville to number 3 in the AP poll and made Lamar the Heisman frontrunner. By the end of September, he had 25 total touchdowns in 4 games. People weren't asking if he'd win the Heisman. They were asking how early they could give it to him. In Week 5, Louisville went into Death Valley for a top 5 showdown with Deshaun Watson and Clemson, and Lamar delivered. He accounted for 457 yards and 3 touchdowns. Nearly led a comeback.
Is the back, but Jackson's going to throw on 3rd and 10. Takes a shot downfield, and the catch is made inside the 5 by Cole Hicatini. He's trying to. No pitch. Gets the edge and scores standing up.
And had Louisville 1 yard away from a game-winning 4th down conversion.
Jackson flips it short, quick, works free, fights, spins out of bounds, did not get there.
That loss exposed a reality. Louisville couldn't win shootouts if Lamar didn't do everything. The defense gave up 42 points, and the offensive line couldn't hold up in critical moments. Still, Jackson kept going. He had 7 touchdowns against Boston College, ran for over 153 times in November. He became the first player in FBS history to throw for 3,300 plus and rush for 1,500 plus in the same season. But in the final stretch, Louisville started cracking. They lost to Houston 36-10. Jackson was sacked 11 times. The offensive line couldn't block a twist stunt to save their lives. Then came Kentucky, rivalry game at home. Jackson put up 452 total yards and still lost. He had a crucial red zone fumble in the 4th quarter, and Louisville's defense couldn't stop Kentucky's run game down the stretch. They went from a playoff hopeful to 9-3, then lost the Citrus Bowl to LSU, where Jackson was held to 153 total yards and was sacked 8 more times. By season's end, he had 51 total touchdowns, 5,114 total yards, and the Heisman Trophy. But the team? 3 straight losses, no conference title, no playoff bid. Lamar was legendary. Louisville was leaking oil. By 2017, Lamar Jackson wasn't a secret. He was the reigning Heisman winner, the most dangerous quarterback in college football, and the reason every defensive coordinator in the ACC lost sleep. And somehow, he got better. He opened the season against Purdue and Indianapolis and did what he always did, ran for over 100, threw for over 300 and led Louisville to a win. Week 2 at North Carolina was when things really popped. He threw for 393, ran for 132, and scored 6 total touchdowns. Louisville dropped 47 points. Every play was Lamar, all over again. Midway through the third, he pulled off a scramble where he reversed field twice and still scored from 43 yards out. There was nothing UNC could do. Then came a revenge shot at Clemson. After losing by 6 the year before, this was the marquee early season game. But Clemson's defense, loaded with future first-round picks, completely shut it down. Jackson threw for 317 and ran for 64, but most of it came late and Louisville got crushed, 47-21. That loss showed what 2017 would become. Lamar was still putting up insane numbers, but Louisville's defense was worse than ever, and the offensive line still couldn't hold up against elite fronts. Even so, Jackson kept producing. Against NC State, he had 427 total yards and 3 TDs, but the team still lost. In the Boston College shootout, he scored 5 total touchdowns, including 3 rushing, and still lost again, 45-42. By late October, Lamar was quietly having one of the best statistical seasons in college football history, and nobody was talking about it. He wasn't flashy anymore. He was expected. Against Virginia, he had 492 yards and 4 scores. Against Kentucky, he ran for 156 and 3 touchdowns. In every game, he was still the best player on the field, but the team around him couldn't keep up. They finished the regular season 8-4, then dropped the Tax Slayer Bowl to Mississippi State, even with Lamar running for 158 yards. He threw 4 picks in that game, pressing, trying to do too much, and it ended with another loss. Final numbers: 3,660 passing yards, 1,601 rushing yards, 45 total touchdowns. Third in Heisman voting. He was the first player ever to rush for 1,500 and pass for 3,500 in a season. But Louisville? Same story. No conference title, no big bowl win, no playoff buzz. Lamar Jackson was rewriting record books. Louisville was stuck in neutral. By the end of 2017, Lamar Jackson had racked up over 13,000 total yards and 119 touchdowns in just 3 seasons. He had a Heisman, 2 top 3 finishes, and game film that looked like a glitch in the Matrix. But Louisville, they never cracked 10 wins. They never made the ACC championship. They never came close to the playoff. So what happened? First, the defense fell apart. In 2016, they ranked top 30 in scoring defense early in the season. But over the final 4 games, they gave up 36, 41, and 29 points. In 2017, it got worse. Louisville dropped to 70th in scoring defense. They gave up at least 28 points in 8 different games, including 45 to Boston College and 42 to Wake Forest. It didn't matter how many points Lamar scored, the defense couldn't get stops. Second, the offensive line was a liability. In both 2016 and 2017, Jackson was among the most sacked quarterbacks in the country. Against Houston in 2016, he was sacked 11 times. Against LSU in the Citrus Bowl, 8 more. Louisville's tackles were overmatched, and it killed their chances in big games. Lamar often bailed them out with his legs, but when teams could contain him, the protection issues showed up fast. Third, coaching and depth. Bobby Petrino built the offense around Lamar, but when things broke down, there wasn't much of a plan B. The teams were often undisciplined, tied for most penalties in the ACC in 2017, and thin in the trenches. By the time Louisville faced top-tier opponents late in the year, injuries and execution started to stack up. And finally, the burden on Lamar was too much. Every game plan, every snap, every play was on his shoulders. There were no All-American wideouts, no elite defense to lean on. He was the offense. When he was perfect, they could beat anyone. When he wasn't, they lost. Lamar Jackson was one of the most explosive players in college football history. But football isn't played 1-on-11. He left Louisville with records shattered and jaws dropped. He redefined what a college quarterback could be. More yards than anyone. More highlights than most players dream of in a lifetime. But he didn't leave with titles. No conference championships, no playoff runs, just an offense carried on his back and a program that couldn't quite match his brilliance. Still, if you watched him, you knew. He didn't need a ring to prove it. He was one of one. And hey, if you've got a theory on why Louisville couldn't break through with Lamar at the helm, drop drop it in the comments.